We are on the Shabbat, in between Shabbat Chayai Sarah, right? Just completed that reading, and we have been introduced to a number of things about Sarah. Of course, this is Parsha where Sarah is laid to rest. So I wanted to examine specifically the relationship between Sarah and Hagar and Ishmael. And Avram, for that matter, Avram. Okay. So just let's begin with a question. What happens, who initiates the contact between Avram and Hagar? Who initiates it?
Sarah.
Sarah does.
It was her maidservant.
Now we're going to see what she actually said. But the question is, this is the first time we're introduced to Hagar, but what do we know, what does Chazal tell us about her origin? How did she just appear on the scene in this incredible role, which is, right center stage? What is her? She's from Mitzrayim.
She's a princess.
But we know that she's not just a Mitzrit. She's analogous to who? Who would be her mirror image later on?
Moshe's, what's the name? Bitya.
Bitya, right. So she is very much like Ki'ilu, the mother of the stepmother of Moshe, right? Who saves Moshe from the Nile. So if you want to look at that as a foreshadowing, I think so. But the main thing is that she saw something very powerful in Mitzrayim that led her to abandon everything and follow Avram and Sarah specifically. She's mishabedet herself to Sarah. What was the event that she witnessed?
With Abraham, with the whole story with the Mitzrayim when he went down
What
there.
specifically did she witness?
That sorry that he couldn't touch her power.
That's correct. She saw the miracle of what happened to her father, actually, and the entire household, that they were completely attuned. They were completely, all their orifices were malfunctioning. And they could not have relations. I think that also their, bathroom functions were compromised, and she saw the power of Sarah to evoke this miracle. Okay? And also Chazal tell us that Sarah had the power. What other power did she have? It wasn't just that it happened automatically.
She covered the angels.
So let's see. Take a look at that inside. So when we're talking about when Avram and Sarah first go down to Mitzrayim, right? So Vatuka Ha'isha beis Paro, Sarah is taken to the house of Paro, and Ulavram Heiti Bavura Vahilo Tson Bakar Chamorim Avodim Shvachas Vason Nos Ugumalim. So he was given quite a bit by Paro. Then it says Vayinaga Hashem es Paro Goim Gedolim. A nega. Okay, where do we find the word nega? Generally speaking, nega tzaras, right? Is usually a nega. So it's characterized as a nega. So Rashi says makas ra'atan, which is a skin ailment, and that makes it impossible to be with somebody else without it damaging. You can't touch the contact. Contact was painful. Physical contact was painful. All right. Now, Pasuk says, "Ve'es beso," not only Paro but his entire household, al dvar sarai eshes Avram. Now the Pasuk, the Mefarshim Chazal pick up on the word al dvar sarai. What could it have used? A different word. It could have used a word like, whatever, avur Sarah, because of Sarah. It uses the word al dvar sarai. What's that? Dibur. For Dibur. What about the Dibur of Sarah? Why did it chose that description? So Rashi says, Al pi dibura, omeris lemalachach v'hu makeh. She directs angels. Angels are at her service. And this was the miracle that she experienced. And then Paro calls Avram Vayomer Mazo Sasiti Lama Lo Higadatili Ki Hula Hula, and Va'ata Hine Ishtecha Kach V'Leich. And who's included in that Kach V'Leich? Ironically, Kach is a lashon of marriage. Kach V'Leich is Hagar goes along with that. So there's also this remez that there's what's coming out of here is more than just property, but there is something to do with a kicha. Where do we learn? Sarah's burial, right, which is in Hebron, of course, was purchased by Avram Avinu, right? So we say that the Maras Machpelah that he said, we use the word that he lakach, he purchased, he took it, he bought it. So the Gemara Kedushin learns kicha mistei Ephraim, that the origin that women can consummate a marriage, to be mikudeshes and be eris and have erisin through accepting money, a monetary gift from a chatan, right? These days we don't do money, we do shaveh kesef, we do things that are equivalent to money, all right? We don't do money itself. But Avram bought that field, and we say kicha mistei Ephraim. So the burial of Sarah teaches us the principle of marriage. What's that about? And here it appears again. Ishtecha kach v'leich. So now, if it's true that Hagar is so overwhelmed and impressed with her, what do you call it, mistress, I guess, Sarah, she goes along with her because she is the one who sees malachim, number one, and can direct them at will. All right? That's pretty impressive, no? She says, I'm with her. She's better than Paro. Paro was pretty good.
Rabbi,
Yeah.
when Malachim appeared to person, other people also see them.
That depends. And that very much was Hagar's experience, as we'll see. Hagar may not have seen these malachim, but Sarah certainly did.
Yeah.
But Hagar then begins to see malachim.
Later on.
Yes, she begins to
The
see
midnight.
malachim. She said, Chazal tells us she saw malachim quite regularly in the house of Abraham. Not just the 3 malachim who came. Well after Yishmael was born, right? Abraham was 86 when Yishmael was born. He's 99 when he does bris milah, and at that time the 3 malachim come and tell him about Yitzchak's birth. But she was quite used to having malachim going in and out of Avram's house. Okay, so this is the origin of Hagar. Now, let's see what happened subsequent to that. And so going back to Parshas. Okay. V'sarai eshes Avram lo yalda lo v'lo shivcha mitzvahs u'shmo Hagar. Okay. Rashi says, Bas paro haisa kishiroa nisim nas l'sara amar mutav shetehei biti shivcha bebeis zeh v'lo gevira bebeis acher. So actually, it's Paro who initiates giving the Hagar to Sarah. Now, this is very powerful, because what does this mean? She now was a mitzvah, someone who was not part of the Shem, right, line. She's from which line?
Canaan.
Cham and Canaan, which is, what's wrong with them? They are Arurim, and yet they attach themselves to Kedusha, the highest, the holiest house. This is the power of the Jew, of the tzaddik, what we call tzaddik emes, the true Jew. You know, I actually was at Shlomo's 25th Yortzeit concert in Yerushalayim. I schlepped my kids, who was like, "What kind of music is this? What kind of music?"
So fabulous.
Yeah, and
Where was this, Rabbi?
Binyanei Uma. They had a 25th anniversary concert. And I knew Shlomo because my shul was 4 blocks away, and I would go there, especially on Hoshana Rabbah, to get juiced up. It was the first time I ever saw a band in shul. It was the first time in my life. And now it's like a little bit more common, but it was just truly a remarkable time. But it's true that Shlomo did so much in terms of the good and it's not, but he had a remarkable relationship with non-Jews, an impact on them, as those who were around his circle knew. I think particularly at the end of his life, I used to hear about the trips to Poland and so on and so forth. And he, in a book written about him, by Ritchie, what his name was,
Speaking Richard.
Zev Ritchie or Tzvi Ritchie?
Speaking.
Tzvi Ritchie, who wrote a book about
Son
all,
of Dr. Richie.
son of Dr. Ritchie, who wrote a book about all the times Shlomo, collected all the times in various tapes and concerts that Shlomo spoke about Rabbi Nachman's Torahs. That's an interesting book. It's like Shlomo on Rabbi Nachman, stories and anecdotes, and he tells us, and Torahs. Then he says that there was a time where he was called upon to give a concert to 10,000 Christians. Can you imagine? A packed house, 10,000 Christians, somewhere in Europe, I think Poland. I don't know if I told you that.
In Poland? Oh, wait.
And he saw that the priest went up first to speak, and it was students, they were all students, young people, whatever, and they're completely not interested in this priest. And he thought, he's like, wants to just like hide, die somewhere because they're not gonna, be interested in him at all. And he just wanted to kind of slip out the back door, but he had to perform. And he got up and he said, I bring you a message of peace from the holy city of Jerusalem. And everybody came streaming in. And I see that as a metaphor because, truthfully, our role is to be so inspiring that to draw the nations towards us,
Yeah.
right? Which hasn't happened yet, but it's happening at least in some circles. Some circles. It's happening economically, to a certain extent. It's happening in terms of chesed, in terms of the rescues. It's happening in terms of teaching them how to improve their water, their irrigation, their food. Agriculture is huge sector. I think that's the fastest growing sector, more than the weapons. But defense, protecting lives and saving lives. So people get it. People around the world really do get it. What Israel has to offer, just that, we have this problem with Ishmael, which we're going to describe. I'm going to analyze it. I'm going to formulate it for you in ways that you might not have ever heard before. Oh, hang on.
Today?
More thrills
Today?
to come today, yes.
Oh, great.
But that's a wonderful, this was probably the first time that we see Avram and Sarah, who were at this time officially based in Eretz Yisrael, doing their thing that they had done in Haran, which is a nefesh asher asu b'Haran. Sarah was influencing the women, and Avram was influencing the men, and so on. Oh yeah, by the way, this past Shabbos we had the Shabbat across, some of that across It was called the Shabbos Project.
Right.
In America they used to call it Shabbos across America back in the day. Effie Buchwald from Lincoln Square Synagogue, did that. But then Rabbi Dr. Warren Goldstein, Chief Rabbi of South Africa.
He started in
He did. I was there when he announced it.
Really? What year was that?
4 years ago?
Oh, not that long ago. And so they claim that a million Jews kept Shabbos. So we were lucky enough to have two of the fellows with us. One an Englishman, and a Muncie boy who was from and did his own thing for a while, and then came back with a lot of strength, and they're both studying Gedusha Torah. So the English one told me, I asked him, where do you study? Or what do you study? And his big diamond earring, and he was actually a really lovely, handsome guy, very lively and bubbly. Dean, his name is Dean Beard. Shout out for Dean Beard. Just a really enjoyable young man. So he said he's studying at, get this, Soros University.
Whoa. Soros?
Soros. Big Soros.
It's from the Soros, that guy?
Yeah.
He
It's
has
in
a
London. Wait,
university?
it's a Middle East policy university. You can spit out a book. And they have Palestinian studies, so it's basically a hate fest to indoctrinate young people who are politically inclined, to hate Israel, funded by George Soros. And he goes there for the Israeli program. There are like two professors there who are Israelis. And he said,
Where is this located?
London.
What?
London.
Oh, in London. Hi.
Soros University.
Not surprised.
And you can only imagine. And so he said that he really gave the Palestinian professors a chance to convince him. And he said they had nothing but emotion. It was just emotions. There was no logical, and they skipped major parts of history, of course. History is a blank for them, and there really is no Palestinian history because it only starts when the Jews begin their return in the late 18th, early 19th century. Okay, but regardless, my point is that the phenomenon of Hagar is that Paro himself, who represents the opposite of Kedusha, right? It's the capital of Ham, is Mitzrayim, which is the symbol of our entire Golus, right? Which in a positive sense means that we've got to go out and influence the people around the world, right? Golus has its upside in that it exposes people to Judaism and to our ideas. And so here Paro is convinced. Paro is turned around. Who was the next person who did that and was also involved in a marriage and he thought it would work out well and it didn't work out as well as he had hoped?
Excuse me, I didn't.
Which other daughter of Pharaoh? We tried to bring her in. Shlomo HaMelech married Bas Paro. You know your Navi. It's one of the first things that he does. It's almost inexplicable. We know he had a lot of wives. But why did he reach out to marry Paro's daughter? When was the chasana? When was the chasana? The eve of the consecration of the Beis HaMikdash. Opening days.
Wow.
And that was timed that way.
Wow.
To marry the daughter of Paro Necho. Why? Because it's the culmination of this process. You see, what started with Avram and Sarah to draw the good out of Paro and that they should love and not subjugate the Jews began with Hagar. That's the first one. And now Shlomo, 15 generations from Avram, exactly 15 generations was a Shiur HaMalos. There are 15 Shiur HaMalos. And in the month, the 15th day, the moon reaches its pinnacle, and the moon represents Malchut Yisrael. It's rising with Avram. The pinnacle is Shlomo, and he marries Bas Paro to do the same thing that Sarai and Avram did, to draw out from the lowest of the nations partnership and love of Hashem. So when Shlomo was there, he started, after he said, I'll bring you a message of peace and love from Jerusalem, he says the students came streaming to the stage, streaming. And they just carried on and sang, and his music was universally accepted because music is the language of the soul.
And what happened to that priest?
He got fired, no, I'm only kidding. He became Jewish probably. I did hear a very strange thing from my years as a rabbi on the West Side. The Pope, the previous Pope, who was not a bad person, a little mixed review, but overall far better than what succeeded him, Pope John Paul II, if you remember him.
Yeah.
He had actually returned Jewish children to their rightful parents, although, on the other hand, he was Ki'ilu, in a negative sense, Mekarev, Cardinal Lustiger, who was a survivor of the Shoah, later became the Bishop of Paris, and he used to say Kaddish for his parents. He came to Yad Vashem, and Rabbi Lau wouldn't accompany him, because he was a yeshiva boy who turned out to be, Bishop of Paris, which is, after Rome, Paris is the capital of Christianity, a la Notre Dame, which is Baruch Hashem still, the ashes, I hope. But the Pope came to New York, I believe. I don't remember what year. It must have been in the early 90s. Is it possible? I think so.
Madison Square Garden.
He came to Mass. I thought it was Giant Stadium.
I thought it was Madison, and they played Shlomo's music.
That's right. They played Shlomo's music. They were playing Shlomo's music. Now, where did the Pope know about Shlomo's music? Very simple. From his tours and concerts too. You see, if he gives a concert to 10,000 people and they're enjoying it, wouldn't you try that also if you're trying to do this? They said they learned from Shlomo. So this music works. People respond to it.
Am Yisrael Chai.
He knew about Shlomo.
I said they were singing Am Yisrael Chai.
Hopefully,
I don't think they
hopefully.
did that one.
Yeah. And don't forget, there's a very, very important point regarding this idea of Bas Paro and the return of Yishmael and the eventual tshuva of Esav and all the things that we're experiencing now, which I'll go into a little bit. The important thing to remember is that this is really a process which takes time, right? It has its roots, but then it manifests itself over time. And here was one of the beginnings of that. Okay, so Hagar Mitzvah makes her way. Now, if you were Sarah, and you had this trusted, loyal servant who was your Talmidah Muvheket, who loved you and worshipped the ground that you walked on, and considered you next to God, wouldn't you trust her a little bit that if she had a baby, right, she would allow you to influence that baby and stepmother that baby or whatever it is, and that apparently was Sarah's idea. What?
Co-mother.
Co-mother, yeah. I mean, I'll give you an analogy, like a Naomi Rus situation.
Right.
Naomi Rus. What was Rus? Rus was a Gioret who provided the physical context to provide the continuity of Naomi. Literally. It was called Naomi's baby.
Right. She even
nursed the baby,
nursed
yeah. She was his, which is, you know, a Sarah-like miracle. Again, same idea. So you know, it had a lot of potential. It seemed to have a lot of potential, this relationship with Hagar. What went wrong?
Right.
So it says, Vayavo al Hagar v'tahar v'teira ki hirasa v'tekel gvirta be'eineha. Suddenly, she is with Avram, and the first moment that they're together, she becomes expectant of child. Sarah has been with Avram how many years? Avram was 75 when he came into Eretz Yisrael. He's now 85. Okay, because Shmuel was born when he's 86. They've been together since their 20s, maybe earlier. 50 years, no children. And all of a sudden, we see that whose fault was it that there were no children? It was Sarah's fault.
So
Her
it
issue.
seems. So it seems.
So it seems.
Oh,
She didn't have a rechem.
Right. She really didn't. Some say she didn't have any female anatomy parts at all.
But fault is the
She looked like a
wrong
child. She was beautiful like a child. Sure. What?
word. Fault is the wrong word.
Right. Misfortune, perhaps?
No.
Okay. But I'm talking about from Hagar's perspective. You could imagine that she had this cathartic shift in which she began to question Sarah's genuineness, which is what Chazal say. They said that maybe she's outwardly this great tzaddikus, but inwardly it's really not this case. So who is the real?
She really questioned.
Yeah, that's what the pasuk says. It says "Vatekal gevirta be'eineha." She became lighter in her
Well, I
eyes.
thought it was because she viewed herself as heavier, not because she saw Sarah as really different.
That might be. That could be a pshat. She gained weight herself. No, wait. When we say something's heavy, what's the word? What's the word heavy in Hebrew?
Kavod.
What's the word for honor?
Kavod.
You say that guy, he's a heavy. He's a heavy. Now that means that you deserve respect. You're a player. They're formidable.
Abraham treated her as a wife.
That is really, really the crux of the question. I see both sides of this according to Chazal. What did Avram think about Hagar? How did he treat Hagar? Okay, and it's not so simple. It's not so simple. But what says Vateko be'ene gvirta? Rashi says Amra Sarah zu ein Sisra kigluya. Her hiddenness is not the same as her open. What she shows. Mare atzma ki'ilu hi tzadekes ve'ena tzadekes. Why?
Who says this word?
This is Rashi based on the Medrash Rabbi, Perek Dalet. Yeah. So it says Elazachsal herayan kol hashanim halalu She didn't have, she wasn't zocha to have this child. Va'ani nisabarti midbiya rishona. So again, that kind of like what you're saying says va'ani. She didn't look at what, she compared herself to Sarah, and in her own eyes, she now began to view herself as either equal to or
Superior.
greater than Sarah. Which means she's now elevated from the status of Shivcha to what status? Wife. Now, let's ask ourselves another question. Avraham Avinu, was he allowed to live with a Shivcha? A Shivcha has a status that's not fully Jewish and not fully not Jewish. A Shivcha has to keep mitzvos, like a woman, same as level of a Jewish woman. However, a regular Jewish person is not allowed to marry her. The only one who can marry her is a Hebrew slave, Eved Ivri, who's subjugated by another Jew. He can give her. And she can't be with an Eved Kanani either. So the problem is that, you know, she's kind of like in this twilight zone of not here, nishta here, nishta here, as they say in English.
Everything is before Sinai, you can say that.
Right.
They might have had even goyot, that's the question.
Yeah.
Right. But we're talking here about, you know, I would say, a significant question as to who is going to be the next Jew. See, the difference is when, right? Who's going to carry Avram's torch? That's the question here.
She's not a Jew.
Hagar is not a Jew. Right, according to Sarai, for sure, because she said, marry my Shivcha. Did Avram view her as a Shivcha? I can only imagine Avram feeling so bad for her. You know, Nebuch. I really want to be nice to her. Like, how could I not be nice, you know? And here, she's bearing a child for me. I think he knew that her status was a Shivcha, but that he wanted to treat her as a wife.
But does it say he married her?
Mm-mm. Adrabah. It says, "Vatikach Sarai Eshes Avram Hagar." She married her. Tikach is always a language of marriage, of consummating a union, right? So, creating kedusha, actually, kedushin. It's a language of kedushin, as we said.
Well,
So,
Shiva-
who is the actor? Who is the actor here, creating the kedushin, as it were? Sarah. So it's like I said, look at her as I would call it a surrogate mother. You know, sometimes when you have
I
babies.
think that's what she meant, when
Surrogate
when
mother.
the whole thing, that she would be the surrogate mother. Through her, I'll
That's
be able to build up.
That's exactly right. Rent a womb. You never saw them advertise? Rent a womb. It's a big business in America, by the way. Don't think it's not. Although they have a lot of restrictions. Surrogate motherhood. You can get a lot of money for that. Yeah. Anyway, so what's Sarah's reaction immediately? Vatomer Sarai al Avram, chamasi alecha. I'm furious with you. Right? Anochi natati shivchasi b'chekecha. I let you go again with my shivcha. And vatera ki ra'asa. And she says, and she noticed that she got pregnant. Va'ekal be'eneha. She says it straight, and now she's treating me less deferentially. Yishbot Adonai beini ubeinecha. 1 second. What does she want from Avram? I'm furious with you, Avram. What did Avram do wrong? Well, he did everything you said. What did I do wrong?
You should have said something. She treated her.
So Rashi brings Chazal here and says, Hamas Yalecha, Hamas ha'asuili alai alecha ani matila ha'onish. What does that mean? It says, why did you daven for yourself? You didn't daven enough for me. You davened enough for yourself, but you didn't daven enough for me. Wow. I mean, that is
So his
powerful.
davening is answered then. If he's davening for a descendant, he got it.
He got it. And now he's basically dumped Sarah because she's no longer part of that. Because he says, who's going to be my heir? Ani anochi holech hariri. Ben Meshach Beisi is Damesek Eliezer, and he can't be the heir. Well, actually,
He was a Kanani.
he was a Kanani also, you know. So, now, V'hayelecha lispalo al shnenu. And then I would have been nifkedet imach. Just a powerful accusation. And the second shot is what you said, that you're hearing her bizyonos, and you're not reacting. You're allowing this to be. Now again, why did Avram do that? Two possibilities. Either because he did see her as a wife, or, which is not likely, I don't believe he really did at that point. Or just out of his own questioning. His own question. Let's see how this goes. Because eventually, what does he say to Hashem? Lu Yishmael Yichya Lefanecha. He's prepared to turn everything over to Yishmael. He's willing to move forward without a child from Sarah. That doesn't mean it doesn't mean it's not from Sarah. You understand what I'm saying? It was Sarah's surrogate, but still not actual.
But still, you see that when a person is so full of chesed, it doesn't always
Work out
work
for the
out.
good, right? Because chesed without
Anything
gevura to
too.
balance it is not good. Now Sarah represents the gevura, and she saw that this was not the case, and when she gives, so then there's two stages that happen here. At this point, she's pregnant. What happened to that pregnancy? What happened to that baby?
She lost it.
How did she lose it? Sarah killed it with an ayin hara. Yeah,
She lost it?
Oh, yeah?
Oh, Hagar.
she lost her first baby. She was pregnant
Ah,
immediately, and that wasn't Yishmael.
And that was not
oh, I
Ishmael.
never knew that.
I didn't know anything.
Did you know?
Can I just ask you a question? Avram also wasn't capable of having children, so it was actually miraculous on him as well.
Yes. The Gemara says that
That one?
Hashem said, "Sei me istagnusa shelcha." You're going to have to become a completely different person with a different mazel. And that's why his name was changed from Avram to Avraham, right? But that had not happened yet. Okay? So he was still in his original mazel.
When did,
And she
when
and
did
hers.
this baby die? After it was born or in her pregnancy?
In pregnancy.
Uh-huh.
She miscarried the child because Sarah said, "No way." And she gave it an ayin hara, and it was a miscarriage. Now wait a minute. We're talking about Sarah Menu here. That seems a little aggressive.
No,
Okay, so, we'll deal with it. No.
she was right.
Why was she right?
Because she
Why was
probably
she
saw
right?
its
Because
potential.
Hagar's attitude was problematic.
Because what did Hagar assume at that point?
That she's gonna be
That
the,
she is the true wife of Abraham. And that her son will be the true heir of Abraham, which Sarah knew not to be true, or believed not to be true. And, look, she had the Shekhinah in her home. Her house, her tent, was like the Beis HaMikdash. Didn't say that about Hagar, right?
If Sarah and Abraham believed in Hashem and he told them they were gonna have children, why didn't they wait? I always
They
why
didn't wait. They didn't wait. They tried. They tried and tried again. So one of the perushim of nefesh asher asu b'charim, according to the Hasidic way, the
yeah.
Kabbalistic way of looking at it, is that
They did nefesh.
they actually did create Jewish souls
But they,
by being together, but they just didn't have bodies. But lots and lots of Yiddish neshamas and tzaddikim were created by